welcome Senator Bernie Sanders. Thank you for joining us again, coming here to say hello to our members. Senator Sanders?
Sal, let me congratulate the NUHW, not only for all that you are doing, but for your belief in grassroots democracy, and in fact, doing exactly the right thing.
Thank you.
Going to your membership.
So thank you, Senator. Thank you again for being here. And if I could introduce you to our Secretary Treasurer, Sophia Mendoza, who's going to be chairing this part of our program.
Good evening, Senator Sanders. Thank you again for joining us here tonight. Before we ask you our questions, would you like to share a few words to the 450 leaders that are here today and our 15,000 members across the state of California and Hawaii?
Well, I would, and let me just repeat. Thank you for the process that you have adopted. I happen to believe in grassroots democracy. That's the way important decisions should be made. Distinguishes my campaign from others. Do I intend to defeat the most dangerous president in the history of our country, who I think, as all of you know, is a pathological liar, a sexist, a homophobe, a xenophobe, you name it, he is it. But on top of that, not only do we have to defeat Trump, a revolution in this country in which, in an unprecedented way, millions of working people stand together against the greed and corruption of the corporate elite in this country. And what I have said a million times, and I repeat to you, not Bernie Sanders or anybody else can do it alone. It takes place. People come together. Union movement, rights movement, the gay movement, mental movement, the women's movement. No real change ever takes place. The American people come together and fight for justice. And when I talk about taking on the corporate elite, I'm talking about taking on the greed and the corruption of Wall Street, of the insurance companies, of the drug companies, of the fossil fuel industry, of the military industrial complex, of the prison industrial complex, of the entire 1%. I think all of you know that for the last 45 years, there has been an unprecedented war against the working class of this country. And the result of that is that there's been a massive transfer of wealth from working families to the top 1%. As President of the United States, I intend to work with you and the trade union movement to reverse that trend. We're going to rebuild the middle class of this country. We're going to demand that the wealthiest people and the largest corporations start paying their fair share of taxes. And bottom line is that by building this movement, we are going to tell the 1% in corporate America that they cannot have it all, that we are going to have an economy and a government that works for working families, not just wealthy campaign contributors. Thank you.
Good evening, Senator Sanders. My name is Denise Cruz. I am a certified nursing assistant at Providence Medical Center. I've been there for 39 and a half years. And my question to you, do you support a publicly financed Medicare for all system that will eliminate the role of private insurance in providing comprehensive health coverage? If so, what steps will you take to overcome opposition to such a sweeping reform? And if not, why not, and what is your alternative?
Well, as it happens, I wrote the damn bill. So I guess, that not only do I obviously support Medicare for all, but I have supported Medicare for all for my entire adult life. I live 50 miles away from the Canadian border in Burlington, Vermont. And in Canada, doctor they want, they go to any hospital they want, and they do not take out their wallets, they don't take out their credit cards. It is a human right. It is a human right in almost every major country on earth. And it is absolutely disgraceful that in America, despite spending twice as much per capita on healthcare as do the people of any other country, we have 87 million people, uninsured or underinsured. 30,000 a year die because they don't get to a doctor when they should. 500,000 Americans go bankrupt because of their medical bills. While the healthcare industry last year made $100 in profit. That is an absolute disgrace. And together, we are going to change that, guarantee healthcare to every man, woman, and child as a human right. And I look forward to working with you to make that happen.
Good evening, Senator Sanders. Thank you for being here with us. My name is Mark Land Arizumi. I'm a psychiatric registered nurse working for Kaiser Permanente in addiction medicine in San Diego. My question for you is, as president, what would you do to make mental health parity a reality and ensure that all Americans get timely and appropriate mental health and substance use disorder services?
Thank you very much for that excellent and important question. Midst of a dysfunctional healthcare system, the mental health crisis stands out almost uniquely as a crisis unto itself. So what I just want to say to you, when I talk about Medicare for all, we are talking about covering all. Please underline the word all, which most certainly includes services as well. And that means that anybody in this country, mental health counseling or mental health treatment of any kind, will be able to go to the provider they want to go, when they want to go, without any out-of-pocket expense. Furthermore, when we talk about Medicare for all, as I have written it, also limiting the amount of money that anyone has to pay for prescription drugs in this country, dollars a year, because we are going to take on the greed and corruption of the pharmaceutical industry and substantially lower drug prices in this country. Comprehensive health care. I'm talking about anybody in America going to get the health care they need. Most certainly, it includes health care, and it also paying a lot of attention to the opioid addiction and the drug problems that we have in this country.
Evening, Senator Sanders. My name is Justin Evans. I am a distribution tech at Fountain Valley Regional. What are the most important reforms you would pursue to help revitalize the labor movement and begin reducing the vast inequalities of income, wealth, and life chances among Americans?
I have spent my entire political career the grotesque level of income and wealth inequality that exists in this country What we are talking about, the corporate media doesn't talk about it, but I do, is three people owning more wealth of American society. Top 1% owning more wealth than the bottom 92%, and 49% of all new income today going to the top 1%. That is absolutely disgraceful. Now, the only way, to my mind, that we rebuild the middle class of this country, that we begin class of this country the opportunity to fulfill their dreams, is by building a strong trade union movement. And everything that I have said, it is implicit that if we're going to take on it, we need to grow the trade union movement in this country. What I believe is the most far-reaching and progressive reform bill that anybody has introduced in a very long time. And what that bill does is several things. Of doubling the number of people in unions in America over my first term, over a 4-year term. And the reason we can do that is of Americans today who want to join unions, but are unable to do that because of illegal corporate position. So what our legislation does is several things. Number one, it says that if 50% of the workers in a bargaining unit plus one, a majority, sign a card saying they want to belong to a union, they will belong to a union. And if an employer, after that happens, refuses to negotiate a first contract, there will be severe penalties placed on that employer. So our goal is not complicated. Workers in America have the right to join a union right now in ways that are illegal. Employers are preventing them from doing that. You know all of the ways that they are doing that. We're going to stop that. What we are going to do, end Section 14B of the Taft-Hartley Act, which allows states to implement so-called right to work. Number three, what we are going to do is end this business where workers are treated as independent contractors instead of workers who are not today getting the benefits and the protections that they need. A lot of exploitation going there. But the bottom line is to me, when I talk about building an unprecedented grassroots movement, which has the strength and the capability, working with the President of the United States, of transforming this country, of guaranteeing health care to all people, of making public colleges and universities tuition free, of establishing equal pay for equal work, of making sure that this country leads the world in the fight against climate change, of dealing with the broken criminal justice and racist criminal justice system that we have, deals with real comprehensive immigration reform. When I'm talking about all of that and more, the only way we accomplish that is with an unprecedented grassroots movement led by the trade union movement in this country. And that's my vision of how we transform this country.
Aloha and good evening, Senator Sanders. My name is Stephanie Lamho, and I am an office associate at Children's Hospital Oakland. And my question to you is, President Trump has attacked immigrants and provoked racism against people of color in ways that divide working people and threaten our safety. As president, what major steps would you take to advance immigrants' rights, diminish racial disparities, and build solidarity in our nation?
Well, we understand the racism and xenophobia of Donald Trump what I would do is exactly the opposite. He wants to demonize the immigrant community in this country. I am the son of an immigrant. So what we are going to do is a number of things. Number one, we end the demonization and we make it clear to the American people community has played an enormously important role in building this country and doing the hardest work, paid work. We respect immigrants. We do not demonize them. Two. The second thing that we do, and this I can do through an executive order and will do on my first day as president. It's going to be a very busy first day undoing all of the damage that Trump has. One of the things that I will do on my first day is provide legal status to the 1.8 million young people eligible for the DACA program. And we will also introduce, at the very beginning of my term, strong, comprehensive immigration reform, which will provide a path towards citizenship for the 11 million undocumented people in this country. And what we will also do is create an entirely new border policy, a humane border policy. In my view, mothers who travel 1,500 miles to get into the United States are not criminals. These are desperate people fleeing violence and extreme poverty. And what we have got to do is create policies at the border which are humane. And under my presidency, trust me, no government official will ever grab a child, a baby, from her mother. No children will be locked up in cages and denied the health care that they need. That is not what America is about. We will have a rational and fair asylum process.
Thank you again, Senator Sanders. Those are all of our questions, but before we leave, any final thoughts for our members?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for the great work you're doing. Thank you for both the work you do day after day in healthcare, and thank you for helping create one of the great democratic trade unions in the country. I don't have to tell anybody that we are living in an unprecedented moment, not only in American history, but in world history, in the sense that climate change threatens the very existence of our planet. And the only way that I know of how we make the changes that we so desperately need to make is when we think big, not small. And when we together, by the millions, have the courage to take on a corporate elite whose greed and corruption has been at war with the working class of this country for over 40 years. I come from a working class family. I know what it's like to have a family that lives paycheck to paycheck. And in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, we can do a hell of a lot better than we're doing now. So let us come together. Let us stand up to Trump's desire to divide us up based on the color of our skin or where we were born or our sexual orientation or our religion. Let's come together and have a vision for the future of this country, which says that we're going to have an economy and a government that works for every man, woman, and child in this nation, and not just for the 1%. Thank you all very much for what you do. I look forward to working with you in the future.